Okay, here's a very quick guide on how to do well on the SAT. I do a lot of SAT tutoring, so I know something about what I'm talking about. There goes my assistant. Now, the SAT is a standardized test, which means that unless you change something that you do, yes, your results are going to be the same more or less every time. And so if you want better results, you have to change how it is that you are taking the test. And so you need to learn a better way to take the test, and you need to practice that better way and not practice the same old way that you usually do it. Otherwise, test day, you'll just do it the same old way and get the same old results. And you certainly don't want to do that. The three basic things that I would tell you, and there are lots of others, but you don't have a lot of time. The SAT's tomorrow, whatever it is. Number one, read slowly. Number two, cover the answers. And number three, write everything down and double check. That counts as one because it's about the same thing, really. As far as reading slowly, even on the math, I find what a lot of students do is they read the problem too quickly, somehow thinking they're going to get extra points for that, and then they misunderstand something and they get the problem wrong. And so if you try to read too fast, you're going to lose points. And if you instead take the time to thoroughly understand what you read, and on the reading that would be reading the passage very slowly for understanding the first time, you will actually gain points. It's hard to believe, but it's far better than reading it quickly, getting to the question, not knowing what you read, going back, reading it again, getting to the next question, not knowing what you read. You get the idea. Number two, cover the answers. And this may seem a little odd, but especially on the ones that have long answers, it takes way too much time to read all those wrong answers, especially when you're smart enough, at least I'm pretty sure you are, to come up with your own answer to the question. Let's say 90% of the time, all right? So when you get to the question, cover the answers, come up with your own answer first. If it says, what is the main idea of the passage, think, well, what do I think the main idea of the passage is? And think about it, not for too long, but long enough to do your own thinking. Come up with an answer that sounds good to you, and then look at the answers, and usually you won't really have to look at all four answers because the right one will just jump right out at you, saving you time and just making your life a lot easier. This is especially true on the writing section. As you read that underlined word, you know what should go there, or you have an idea what should go there. So take some time to think of that idea, have that confidence that you'll be able to do that. And once you have an idea what you think you would rather see there, take a look at the answers, and usually there it will be. So much faster there too. On the math especially, you want to write everything down. And what I used to do, I used to read the question and then think, okay, now what? And reread the question, and that takes time. It's a timed test. You don't want to do that. So as you're reading it the first time, if there's a formula in there, write down the formula, even if it's already up there. If there's a diagram that's complicated, you don't have to write down the diagram, obviously. It's already there. But with the formula, it's better to put it down in your workspace and write down everything that they tell you. If they say, Bob and Mary, or, whatever, draw a little stick figure of Bob, a little stick figure of Mary. Make everything as visual as you possibly can. And write down everything that they tell you. And that includes the question. A lot of times on SAT they say, what is x plus 3? And you do a whole bunch of algebra, you get down to where you get x equals 5, you're so excited, yay, x equals 5, I'm done. You bubble in x equals 5 and forget to look at the question, which is, what was x plus 3? Oh, 8. Oops. That happens a lot on the SAT. It's a tricky test that way. So write down everything that they tell you in the question, and then write down everything you know. If they tell you this is a square and one side is 10 units long, mark 10s on all the other sides. It's a square, you know that. Mark 90-degree angles in all the corners. Because so often the SAT will tell you a certain amount, and from that amount you're supposed to be able to know some other things, and you do know those other things, so write those other things down where you can see them. Anything you keep in your head is something you may forget and will keep you from getting the answer if it's not written down. So make everything visual, write down everything they tell you, everything you know from what they tell you, write down all the calculations you do, because if you want to lose points on the math, just do things in your head. Try and do as much as possible in your head and you'll lose as many points as possible in the math. If you want to gain points there, write everything down, and as you do each calculation, 3 times 5 is 6. It's like, wait, no, 3 times 5 is 15. See what I mean? Just double check that, because it's that stupid mistake in the middle that will just cost you those points. And so then again, to reiterate then, the main points: read slowly. It's not a reading test, it's a reading comprehension test, for example, and even the math is a reading comprehension test. Cover the answers and do your own thinking, because you will go faster through the test that way and get more right answers if you think for yourself instead of having to try and make each of the wrong answers be a right answer somehow. And the last one, especially on the math, write everything down and double check everything as you go. So keep these 3 in mind as you practice. Read slowly, cover the answers, write everything down. And if you'll do that as you practice, and the more you practice that way, the better you'll do when it comes time to take the actual test. And, well, good luck. If you have questions, I'm sure you can put them in the comments below. Thanks.